The story in Peacemaker isn't too enthralling, but it compensates with its dark comedy, which is a style of comedy that doesn't really suit everybody, but it suits me just fine. Now, I had my doubts about Peacemaker. One, because in my experience, when someone tries to make like a spin-off of a film or a series, it tends to never be as good as the original. Two, because the track record of DC films and shows. And three, because I don't really watch comedies like that, at least when it comes to shows. This show takes place immediately after the Suicide Squad, which was a really fun movie, and John Cena reprises his role as Peacemaker, which I think I read somewhere can be described as a douchey version of Captain America. The premise is essentially that Amanda Waller sends a team to recruit Peacemaker using the bomb implanted in his head as leverage, and their task is Project Butterfly, which is essentially a bunch of alien parasites that inhabit and burrow their way into like a human's brain. They die afterwards, but they burrow their way into someone's brain and then take over that body as a host, but they keep the memories intact of whatever person they happen to inhabit. So like I said, the story isn't too enthralling and can actually be described as mediocre, but there are only 8 episodes and it does compensate with a lot of dark comedy, but if you're not into that kind of thing, then you're not gonna like this show. So Peacemaker's played by John Cena, who does a pretty good job at portraying this all brawn, no brains kind of character, a pretty goofy kind of character. But John Cena has the same issue that Dwayne Johnson has. Whenever he's on screen, it doesn't really feel like I'm watching Peacemaker. It doesn't feel like I'm watching Christopher Smith. It feels like I'm watching John Cena play Christopher Smith. I don't know if that makes sense to a lot of you, but acting is a lot like lying. Like, you have to convince me that you're telling the truth. You have to convince me that you are actually who you are playing. And when I watch John Cena, I'm not convinced that who I'm watching is Christopher Smith. I'm watching John Cena play Christopher Smith. For this particular character, I guess it works because he's a pretty goofy character, and John Cena is actually pretty goofy himself, and he's a very charismatic guy as well. So, works just fine. I also like that they add depth to Peacemaker's character. Like, immediately from the first episode, you could tell that Peacemaker has a shitty dad, and no matter what his dad says to him, no matter what his dad does to him, he's always trying to make his father proud. He's always trying to do something that will make his father say, hey, that's my son. So from his childhood to now, he's gotten nothing but resentment from his father. He lost his brother, so he doesn't really have anybody in his life that really loves and supports him. So he just spends his life trying to make his father proud and do things that his father would be proud of. But his father's a racist, he's a white supremacist, and nothing that Peacemaker does is ever going to be good enough for him. And as a defense mechanism, he tends to be a dick to everybody to keep them from getting close to him. I'm not a bad person. So it's not all bad. There is a deeper story behind the basic premise of the show, but it's still not that enthralling. But fortunately, it's very funny, it's very entertaining, it has good fight scenes, and through adversity and a common enemy, Peacemaker's team grows closer, they bond, they build chemistry together, which is something that is very crucial when you have a lot of characters working together that some films or some shows fail to do. That's why films like Marvel's Eternals, in my opinion, does not work. So even though it's simple and it can be cringy at times, it's pretty entertaining and it's very funny. Now, the things that I absolutely do not like about this show is Vigilante. Even though his fight scenes are really cool, he is extremely annoying. Eagly, who is very cool, the CGI is very cringy. And the plot being about some parasitic insects from outer space, I mean, I just wish it would have been closer to home, just like normal criminals, like criminal masterminds or metahumans or something. I had to give credit to James Gunn because I did not like the Guardians of the Galaxy films. Like, mostly everybody I know loves them. I think they're arguably the best movies of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I did not like them. And then I watched The Suicide Squad, which was written and directed by James Gunn, and maybe it's because it's a dark comedy or because it's a dark movie that it just works. And now we have Peacemaker, and even though it has its flaws, undoubtedly, it's still pretty entertaining to watch. And I've watched much better shows than Peacemaker, but it's still watchable. And yeah, that's all, I guess. I don't really have a deep analysis on this, but let me know what you think in the comment section if you like this show. I think I know a few people who have watched it and liked it, but let me know what you think. If you agree with me or if you have a different opinion, hit that like button. It does help me a lot. Subscribe if you have not already, and I will catch you on the next video next Friday. See you then. Bye bye.